and 21, and we are in the roaring 2020s, the most massive, epic wealth creation event that we've ever seen in the history of the world. This is the playbook. I've been warning about this for over a decade. It is happening in real life. There is the most epic wealth transfer that we have ever seen. And we are living through an economic and dollar collapse, but what most people don't understand is what the old dollar is collapsing into. This is a new system, an entirely new way of doing business, a new global economy. And I wanted to show you something because if you go to CNBC, make sure to like this video. It's kind of tough to see up at the top, but you'll see, I'll read it to you. It reads, gold, oil, and crypto. Gold, oil, and crypto. And it tells you what's going on in the crypto markets because the crypto markets aren't going anywhere. They are the new normal, and it is the new financial system that I've been warning about. It's why I've been telling you to learn about everything that you can. It's why I've been telling you to get involved at bitcoinrich.com. You should click the links below right now. Learn everything you can because it's not going to go anywhere. This is the future. And just like the 1920s lasted over a decade when we had the original Spanish flu, and then people were partying for almost 10 years, followed by 1929, the stock market collapse, and eventually a world war, I believe we are leading much into the same event now. There is a lot of pent-up demand, of course, for travel, leisure. We're starting to see the economy have some of these, like, not the real economy, but the other economy, right? The other economy, we're seeing the animal spirits. We're seeing stocks hit new highs. I said that would happen. We're seeing crypto. Now Bitcoin's above 50,000 once again, on its way to a new all-time high. Many other cryptocurrency technologies are being adapted at a very, very large scale. So the point of all this is a wealth resource transfer. Okay, so where is this headed? I was thinking about a lot today. Because, of course, big parts of our discussion have included sustainable resources recently. What is this going to look like in the future? Well, it is my opinion that in the coming days, there will be an announcement. The little seedlings, like little seeds of an announcement of UBI for all Americans. Something I've also been telling you was going to happen years ago. 10 years ago, I said that this would happen because this was just what was always going to happen. So you're going to see the seedlings, not just for universal basic income for everybody, but it is of my strong opinion, and I'd be curious to know whether or not you agree or disagree. But I believe that every American, that means you tuning in, and every global citizen will be taxed on their carbon footprint in the future as we move to a zero to near zero carbon emission standard in the United States and worldwide. Again, another reason to get involved, learn about blockchain tech, cryptocurrency, because there's many alternatives, including the ISIL project, which I'll be announcing soon and releasing our white paper that solves that exact problem. Now, sustainable resources is a really interesting conversation to open that door because we're seeing this, whether or not it's in Saudi Arabia, building the first mega city that will be zero carbon, where there will be no gasoline vehicles. We see the major auto manufacturers saying that they're going to get rid of any new cars that use gasoline, some of them say by 2030, as early as that. Some are even attempting to do that sooner. But on that race to zero carbon, on that race to ultimate sustainability, there's actually a lot of problems along the way that need to be dealt with. So we'll take a look at Tesla, for example, this great company, right? We've seen it just rocket in recent years. We've seen it transform the game, legitimately compete with the General Motors and Toyotas of the world. But for us to go fully sustainable, for us to go full self-driving, for our society to go full battery-powered cells and these kinds of things, there is actually a huge usage of carbon to get there. So in the short run, this is the argument, and I'd like you to think about this. In the short run, we're actually using more carbon going sustainable. Okay, think about all the new manufacturing facilities that need to be constructed. Think about all the carbon that is needed to produce these massive battery cells. Think about all the carbon that is needed to install all of these new power charging stations in an entirely new infrastructure across the country. Also think about the replacement costs of the sustainables like wind turbines. Okay, wind turbines, for example, every 10 to 20 years need to be replaced. So there's a replacement cost on all the sustainables in addition to a maintenance cost of all the sustainables. And guess what it uses? Carbon. Okay, it's almost like opening up two new freeways. You've got congestion on one. Okay, and so instead of creating more efficiencies, you open up a new freeway, and there's maybe less congestion because there's two freeways, but you still have more cars using more carbon on both freeways because you've got two now, not just one. Now, I'm not saying we're not going to get there. I'm not saying that we should not move to sustainables because I believe that we should. In fact, that is a big part of our blockchain ISIL that I've been talking about in recent weeks and over the last few months is moving to a sustainable lifestyle. Because here's what's going to happen. All of the basic necessities of your life are going to be diminished, okay, are going to be in high demand by population and the population centers, whether or not this is food and water. Why do you think I've been telling you to store food and store grain and store water? And why do you think we've been talking about that you should be doing things like farming, or those are the new millionaires, or you should be growing a victory garden or doing these kinds of things? Because every resource, housing is included in this, is in high demand. At a time when the resources, whether or not we like it or not, we can get all kinds of arguments about this, but this is just the truth of the matter, are declining. So we have an increase in demand, okay, and then we've got a supply shortage. Notice that we had the shock in Texas in recent weeks. We had an entire grid shutdown, just getting a text right here. We had water plant contamination, all of these problems. Now, we can argue the politics of why that didn't or didn't happen, but the obvious is it did happen. So expect more of that. And so I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you guys think moving forward about universal basic income? I think that that'll be rolled out very soon. I think that that's just going to be a part of the program. What do you think about being taxed on your carbon footprint? Because I think that that is absolutely, undoubtedly going to happen in the future, and you need to understand that and to prepare for that now. It's going to be harder to have access to meat. Let me give you an example of this. You see all the plant-based pea isolate, other plant technology that they've created for synthetic derivatives of protein. They're now actually manufacturing synthetic derivatives of the actual, what they say is the real meat. So in Singapore, they just have a new restaurant. It's the first restaurant in the world, because they're ahead of the curve on a lot of this stuff, that actually serves a chicken nugget. Okay, it's kind of like the chicken nugget song. I don't know, my kids love it. I don't know if you've seen this on the internet. It's like chicken nugget, chicken nugget, chicken nugget, chicken nugget. So they're actually synthetically making synthetic chicken nuggets now. But they're actually cultured from real chicken, but grown in a lab. Okay, so there's all kinds of companies around the world doing this. So whether or not it's your food supply, it's the air quality that's coming into your lungs, it's water, it's your health, right? There was a report that came out today, I thought it was extremely interesting. It said something like 78% of those hospitalized as a result of everything going on were overweight or obese. Okay, so they were actually overweight or obese, disproportionately making up the people that actually went to the hospital as a result of this virus that has been, spreading all over the world. Okay, so that to me has a lot more to do than with your actual health than it does, the virus itself being a serious event. But I like to look at history as a guide. Okay, not because I think it's going to repeat exactly, but because I believe it will rhyme. Mark Twain said that. So what happened after 1918? Roaring 20s, baby. Okay, that was the bootlegging era. In fact, that's where JFK's family made much of his money. Remember the President of the United States? His family basically ran a bootlegging business during the era of Prohibition. Okay, if you've read any history, that's how they made a lot of their money. That's how the Kennedys got rich, was during basically that period of time of history. Stock market hit new all-time highs. Everybody was trading on massive margin. But here's the difference about what happened in 1929 and the roaring 1920s and what's currently happening. The Federal Reserve and the central bank at that time, in my opinion, really didn't have a plan, okay, at that point. Now, we did see more centralization of power. We saw the establishment of the United Nations, the IMF, the World Bank, so I could argue that that was a great component of providing a solution to the problem that they ended up having. But there wasn't really a lot that they did in regards to stopping the deflationary event that caused the Great Depression, led us into a world war, destroyed people's life, and literally allowed people to starve and go hungry into a giant dust bowl of oblivion for a period of time. The only thing that got us out of that was the war. I actually think that the central bank and the Federal Reserve System is much smarter now. So what they've been doing, and this is what I think is going to happen next, is as the dollar collapses, which it is now, because it's backed by nothing, as there's more inflation, if not hyperinflation, I believe there is in my opinion, and I'm curious to hear your opinion on that. As that happens, they're simply going to transfer us to the new system. So what is the new system that they're transferring you all to? Blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, the cryptocurrency market, CBDC, central bank digital currencies. And if you don't understand or know what these things are, you need to learn about it. That's why I established my worldwide school. That's why you should get in. You should learn how to create cash flows potentially. You should learn how to find a new job, a new career. You should join an astounding community, and you should learn as much as you can because you're going to have to. But I believe that's what they're doing. I believe that's where they're going. Also, what people don't understand is CBDC central banks around the world, the Federal Reserve System is going to work in tandem with blockchain tech on the private side. So on the private side, you have the developers and the development, right? You have Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum, for example, the private developer, and that consortium of developing that technology and smart contracts, moving to a staking 2.0 model. Okay, you've got Bitcoin, the anonymous alias pseudonym. Nobody knows who that is, if it's a person, a guy, a girl, or it's a group of people, although I think a lot of us actually do know who that is. That is going to work with, hand in hand, the central banks themselves. So everybody that has said things in the past, like for example, they're like, Christopher, they're just going to get rid of Bitcoin. No, they're not. That's actually what they're using to move to the new system. You see, the private enterprise that makes up this new technology, blockchain, is going to work directly with the central banks and the Federal Reserve. I also get asked the question, oftentimes people will say things like, Christopher, what's your exit strategy with Bitcoin? And I think to myself, they still don't get it. Bitcoin is the exit strategy. Bitcoin is like owning Apple computers or Microsoft, like in the 90s. It's like owning Tesla. You're not selling these companies, you're owning them forever. The exit strategy is Bitcoin. The exit strategy is blockchain tech. This is the innovative technology and financial system that's been created to move forward with. Also notice that much of the resources are being deployed in second and third world countries. Not just for sustainable energy, but to basically democratize not just banking, finance, and access. This is what we're doing with our ISIL project, sustainable resources to everyone around the world in a democratized way, no matter where you live, no matter how much money you have. Okay, I believe that everyone should have equal and free access to all of that, right? That's the capitalist in me that believes that everybody deserves the same opportunity as the next guy. Right, if they're willing to work hard and put in the elbow grease and these kinds of things. So the whole point of this is, as this has been playing out, because we've been 100% right on exactly what's happening. I've been telling you that these bubbles will get bigger. I've been telling you that Bitcoin is going to keep going higher. I've told you that I have a price target on 250,000 later this year, which I think there's a strong possibility that that plays out. I've been telling you we're going to hit $1 trillion in market cap. That's already happened. I'm telling you we're going to go to $10 trillion market cap. And I'm telling you that the exit strategy is blockchain. I'm also telling you that they're not going to get rid of any of this stuff. Not only is it on the front page of CNBC.com next to gold and oil, which oil is going higher too right now. I think it'll break $100 a barrel. But it's going to be working directly with the central banking system and new model itself. It's going to work with CBDCs. CBDC, central bank digital coins, will work with the private side of technologies like Ethereum, Bitcoin, and XRP. In fact, a report came out today, I've been telling you this as well, XRP is actually likely to be the preferred token for the central bank of, France, that I was reading about today. So huge bullish news. The Bank of France, the central bank, has reportedly discussed XRP and Ripple for the launch of a central bank digital currency known as their CBDC. So you see this is what I've been telling all of you. This is what I've been teaching at my school. This is the new system. So if you don't understand that, you're honestly behind the curve. So this is why you need to hold things that actually have real deflationary value. What do I mean by that? It means they have a fixed supply like Bitcoin. This is why you should own land. This is why you should own real estate. This is why you should own gold. This is why you should own silver. This is why you should have food. You know, a lot of people have given up at this point. Honestly, a lot of people have given up. They're like, well, you know, it's over. There's nothing that I can do now. I don't see any opportunities anymore. Some people are saying that depending on which political side of the aisle that they're on. They're saying, well, my candidate lost, so I'm giving up now, okay, or vice versa. Some people are saying, well, I'm never going to get to travel again because this pandemic is so terrible, I'm never going to get to go anywhere ever again, so I give up. I'm telling you guys to prepare. Okay, just like Joseph warned the Pharaoh of Egypt to store grain because pestilences and diseases were coming and they were going to need that. I'm telling you the same thing. Just like Noah built an ark, I'm telling you the same thing. Build your ark. Understand that these are the seismic events taking place. Now, what will this lead to? This will lead to more centralization on one side of the coin, the central banks and the IMF on one side, and more decentralization on the private side. Okay, what's so interesting about this tech, by the way, is that this over here, this decentralized side, hasn't been decided yet. It's an open source technology. Any of you, for example, can create a chain, just like I've created a chain. Anybody can do that, just like Bitcoin was created, just like Ethereum was created. So this is a massive wealth transfer. You are not going to get the typical economic collapse that many people are expecting. I don't think we're going to have a dust bowl, okay? I don't think that that's what's going to happen. I think that the wealth is being repositioned in our society. This is what I think is going to absolutely happen next. As a result of that, okay, universal basic income is going to be a necessity. We are moving to a zero carbon or near zero carbon footprint of sustainables moving forward. And I believe, this is my strong opinion, that all of you will be taxed on your carbon footprint in the future. So you should prepare for that now. Now, those are honorable things to strive for. I don't think we should pollute the planet. I think we should try to do good. And I think we should move to sustainables and some kinds of these technologies. However, that's not a straight line. As I opened this video, it's actually going to take a lot of carbon emission just to get to near zero carbon. Okay, just like they run power lines from wind turbines in states like Texas, and they have to go miles to the actual destination of where the power is going to be delivered, where there's all this slippage. By the time it actually gets to the city it's going to, there's only 25% of the original power that was actually accumulated by the turbines and processed at the plants themselves. Just like it's going to take more carbon emissions to make all these plants, manufacture all these battery systems, and then lay out an entirely new infrastructure of the future, it's not going to necessarily get there absolutely streamlined. So what does that create? It creates opportunities for you that, by the way, are going away. In fact, there is more opportunity in this disruptive period of historical reference than there's ever been in the history of the world for you. You know, it used to be, for example, during the last market bubble that led up to 1929, if you weren't connected, you weren't really getting in. You know, you're not going to get in on the next IPO, but you can now. Blockchain technology has made all of this available to you. Okay, and in a democratized fashion, which is what is so cool about it. So I'm not saying that we're not going to get market crashes at some point. We are, but not in the way that you think. The dollar is crashing. Everything's moving into blockchain and Bitcoin and other technologies like it. And that is the future of the new CBDC, central bank digital currency market, cross-border transfer remittance payments, which central banks, okay, will be using over here and integrating the private side, which I teach about 24/7 around the clock at school, and they will all be working together. And that will be the new system. And that's absolutely undoubtedly what's going to happen. It's very, very easy to see. In the short run, we're just going to have all this inflation. We're going to have a disheveling of the markets. We're going to have bubbles. But here's the thing, they're going to get much, much bigger. Because again, they're not going to deflate the bubble in the typical way. They're going to take that energy and push it elsewhere. So you want to be on the receiving end of that energy. You're going to need food, you're going to need water, you're going to need preps, you're going to need food storage, 20, 30-year shelf life. You're going to need solar, you're going to need sustainable energy. You're going to need land, you're going to need water, you're going to need a community, you're going to need blockchain, you're going to need to understand what Bitcoin is and Ethereum is to operate in the future. In the future, how do you think they're going to pay universal basic income? It'll all be on the blockchain. How do you think the democratic voting systems in the world are going to work? They're all going to be on the blockchain. How do you think the central banks are going to interact with customers, banking institutions, and others? The blockchain. What do you think everything is going to be tied to? Artificial intelligence, self-learning machines, self-driving cars. What do you think it's all going to be working with? The blockchain. This whole system is the blockchain. So if you think, when people ask me, I laugh. They ask me what my exit strategy is. My exit strategy is Bitcoin. It is like owning Google, Apple, social media, e-commerce, Tesla, SpaceX combined. It is a giant call option on the future, literally, of humanity and our entire society. It's so massive that if you're not learning about it, honestly, you're going to kick yourself in the future. You might not have a job due to automation, or you won't be making as much money, okay? Or you will watch your real purchasing power absolutely sink as a result. That's the hardcore truth. So I'm not saying don't be optimistic through these changes, but you also have to understand if you're not pivoting, leveraging, and profiting now, you will be left behind in a very, very serious manner, in a very, very serious way. So there was also a report the U.S. government is bringing to market like some minuscule amount of 0.75 Bitcoin or something. They're selling at current prices. Kathy Wood, who's a very successful woman on Wall Street, says that she sees Bitcoin joining stocks and bonds as a part of the classic balanced portfolio in the future. I agree with her. I think that there will be a stabilization in prices probably once we get to about like 500,000 to a million Bitcoin. You know, by then, when it's one of the largest, if not the largest asset in the world, we'll start to see some stabilization to it. Because, of course, Bitcoin is fractional. You don't have to buy a full Bitcoin. You don't have to pay, $50,000 for a full Bitcoin. You can actually buy less than a penny of Bitcoin. Still, people don't even understand that fundamental point. So there is no exit strategy. This is the exit strategy. This is where everything is going. Most people don't understand that. So you need to be pivoting in the disruption now. You need to be creating the reality and the lifestyle that you're going to need to survive and thrive moving forward. There is literally no other way. So I'll leave you with this for a lot of people out there, because I'm being honest, I see a lot of people just flat out giving up. That is the wrong approach moving forward. Definitely don't do that. You need to have faith. You also need to be learning the skills necessary to be successful moving forward. Again, I've been kind of harping on this recently. Most of what a lot of people are listening to doesn't give them any solutions. It just tells them what they already know, and then they're left holding the bag. Okay, learn the skills that you need now to empower yourself, to achieve the success, to build the future that you actually want. The best way to help your friends and your family is to help yourself. It's like being in an airplane that's going down, right? What do they tell you to do? The first thing you do is you put the oxygen on your own mouth. Okay, then you help your kids. So I'm telling you, help yourself. Help yourself learn about where this is going. Help yourself to understand these trends. Help yourself to ignore the noise. Help yourself to stay positive, okay, and remain faithful moving forward. And also realize that, it's not just an opportunity, it's a duty. Okay, I was reading about Paul. I don't know if I have it here in my Bible. I'll try to get to it if I remember correctly, and it looks like I did. But there's some great passages here in Corinthians that I was reminding myself of, because, of course, Paul was beaten, he was in jail, he was imprisoned, he had been shipwrecked. He had basically gone through all these trials and tribulations, and he never gave up his faith, ever. In fact, even till the very end, he believed that either he would be saved and freed, or he would be with Christ, and he would be saved. He only believed in that. And that's what I'm telling you guys, is that we all need to have that faith. And so I'll read this to you. He says that he was whipped 39 times. He was in prison. He was 3 times beaten with rods. He was stoned and survived that. He was 3 times shipwrecked. A night and a day he has been in the deep. He's been in perilous waters, perils of robbers. He's been betrayed by his own countrymen. He had been in perils of the Gentiles, in perils in the city, in perils in the wilderness, in perils in the sea, in perils among false brothers and sisters, brethren he calls them, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness, not to mention other things. Yet never once did he not remain faithful. So remain faithful, but understand this is not going to be easy. Everything has changed permanently, and that has been my primary message for a very long time. I've been warning about this for 10 years. Now it has happened. It is the game-changing event that I had been warning about. Now the wealth transfer is taking place. Okay, so we are, I'm not sure if I mentioned this yet, but we are, I'll reiterate it if I did, 75% of the way there. There is not much time left. You need to click the link below and learn everything you can at school. I'm telling you, you need to learn now. You need to get in. Use the promo code SAVE100, get in at BitcoinRich.com. They are already 75% of the way there. So what do I mean by that? The pricing on these financial assets like Bitcoin are still very much in the early stages, but the institutions, the big Fortune 500s, the real players, have already acquired these assets. They're already 75% of the way in, okay, which means that limited fixed supply of things like Bitcoin are being gravely diminished right now. It's your last opportunity as a retail dude or dudette to learn about this stuff and to pivot in it, because they've already made their bets, okay, because we're going to the new system. There's a 25% window of opportunity now. So what are you going to see in the coming days and weeks and months? You're going to see a hyper bubble. You're going to see the new roaring 2020s. You're going to see housing, stocks, Bitcoin likely to hit new all-time highs. It is going to be nuts, crazy, massive inflation. I would argue hyperinflation. It is going to be the craziest thing any of us have ever seen in our entire life. Very few people are going to get rich. Others are going to be getting readied for UBI. Okay, so just like this bailout, 1.9 trillion. Okay, if you make under, like 94,000 or something, you get a $1,400 check. No one really knows where the rest of the money is going. I guess it just goes to the government. No one really knows where it's going to go. Okay, so look at that, for example. How long is that going to last? Like a week? I mean, every new week, there's a new bailout, a new stimulus, a new PPP loan, more 0% interest rates. It never ends. So they're at the tipping point now, okay, like a hand of a clock. UBI is next. Okay, and we're also moving to sustainables and a zero or near zero carbon footprint moving forward. Not all of this is bad. A lot of this is good in some regard. Okay, if you're paying attention. And I'm not being on really any side of the political aisle right now. I'm just telling you guys what's going to happen. The window's closing. It's closing. You're not going to have another opportunity. Okay, just like many of you missed Google, Microsoft, Tesla, Facebook, the list goes on and on. This is much bigger than all that. That's going to make those companies look like gnats compared to what blockchain is going to do. All of those companies are going to operate on the blockchain. It's the payment systems. Okay, it's going to be your ability to have access to a better life. It's going to be the new system of the central banks. It's going to be the new internet. It's literally going to affect every facet of your life and every resource that it takes to survive. Food, water, air, self-driving cars, your job, your career, your business, your ability to have credit, your ability to travel, your health, your wellness, your family, all of it. It affects everything. In closing, nowhere am I saying be of this world. I'm not saying that. I'm just telling you guys what's going to happen next so you can prepare. Again, just like Joseph warned Pharaoh, hey, store grain, dude. You need some grain. The pestilences are coming. The diseases are coming. It's going to get bad. What do you think I've been telling you for all these years? That's what I've been telling you. When Noah heard God build the ark, he built the ark. Build the ark. In fact, it's kind of interesting. Kathy Wood, who's, basically this big heavyweight on Wall Street, who says crypto and Bitcoin will trade like bonds in the future, and I agree with her. I do think the prices will stabilize, after they go 10, 100, maybe 1,000x from here. It's kind of interesting, and maybe just a coincidence or maybe not, but her fund is called the ARK Invest Fund. Interesting, isn't it? This is your ARK, okay? So understand where we're going in a very, very big way. Also, I'll just touch on this too. There's been a lot of earth shifts, earth changes recently. We're seeing a lot of volcanic activity. I mean, we had a tsunami warning out here in Hawaii very recently. We've seen other activity worldwide. There's just a lot of strange kind of cosmic events taking place. It always reminds me of the Tower of Babel, right? And then God separates all of his people into different languages and all these kinds of things to basically punish people worshiping themselves. Well, I've got a controversial question to ask you today. How is this not reoccurring again? Is this not the new tech Babel that everyone's building? Is it going to be allowed? Does he come back first? He might. I don't know what's going to happen next. But it's interesting. My father-in-law was speaking to my wife earlier this morning. He's in the hearing aid business, has been for years. In fact, he's had to close shop ever since Biden got in. Taxes and costs have gone so much up in his industry, he had to close after like 60 years. He just can't afford to stay in business any longer as a result of the Biden presidency. So he's just another casualty of everything that's just happened. But what's really interesting, he's in retirement age now too, but what's interesting about this, he said the hearing aids now, the new ones, okay, they go in your ear and they actually translate foreign language. They'll also translate your ability to speak in foreign language in the future. You see where this is going? Health, right? Think health, okay? Think all this stuff, okay? And think about new products being released. Like here's one. Like I'm sure you guys can put two and two together here. Okay, this was an article came out with the new smart glasses that people are going to be using. You're going to put them on your eyes. Instead of traveling, you're just going to basically be a image of yourself, kind of like the Zoom meetings today. What is it called? You'll be like a hologram or something like that when you go visit people. This is where it's going. It's very easy to see, but what's crazy about this, a lot of people don't see this. They can't put the two and two together. So this is not going to be a traditional financial economic collapse. This is not going to be the new Dust Bowl. I don't believe that's going to happen. It doesn't mean that we don't have instances where the grid goes down in Texas. I would expect that stuff to happen, but this is just going to be moving to a new system, period. The new system is blockchain. That's where everything's going. That's where all the money's going to go. And that's how they're going to transfer the deflationary dying dollar to the new system. So the point is, learn about the new system. That's what you need to do. It's a part of your preps. Okay, start with water, start with food, start with your community, start with strategic relocation. Those were the main themes over the last 10 years as part of Greenwave and AMTV. Now I'm telling you about blockchain. I'm telling you need to learn about this stuff now. Okay, because it's a part of your preps. Then go out into the real world. This is what we are doing because actions speak louder than words. And then build the communities that you want. We're past the stage to a certain degree of warning others of what's going to happen next. We're now in the stage of just building. There's no time left. This is what I'm telling you. The window's shut. There's 25% left before all of the blockchain assets have been completely grabbed by basically those, large institutions, banks, and Fortune 500, and then you're not going to have another chance to get in. Your chance to get in, if you don't act now, will be at $10 trillion. Bitcoin. You see what I'm saying? It's going to be over. It's going to be out of reach at that point. Okay? Just like when social media first came into existence 10, 12 years ago when I started. And you notice everyone successful in the social media space started when I did 12 years ago because we got in early. So I'm telling you guys to get in early. So learn the skills, stay positive, remain faithful. I want to see you at bitcoinrich.com. Take advantage of the promo code SAVE100. Get in and start learning now. And if you haven't added this to your preparatory toolkit, do it today with us. Okay, I'll teach you everything I know, and I've put it and condensed it, 10 to 12 years of study, okay, into a very easy, understandable package where you just watch videos and you go through and you learn the fundamentals. And then I teach you, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what you need to learn about, and this is what you need to do. It's that simple. So it's the ark. You need to store grain. Okay, and I know a lot of you know this already because you've had your heartstrings pulled at. You're hearing it. Your gut, your instincts are telling you, yeah, something's afoot. Something's wrong. Well, I'm telling you absolutely exactly what's going to happen. Okay, roaring 2020s, transfer into the new system. Bigger bubbles. Collapse of the dollar into other assets. That's it. That's all you need to know. That's what's going to happen. Anyways, guys, I love you so much. Christopher Greene, hard hitting it in your face. This is AMTV. Stay positive. Think and grow Bitcoin rich. I will see you at school.